On this episode of Built to Last, we are starting at the top, and by the top I mean the roof. With the latest in roofing shingles, we'll get a chance to go on site for a hands-on demonstration of modern siding materials and know-how. Next on Built to Last. Today we are on the outside looking in at the latest materials available for roofing and framing. I'm Bruce O'Bora. We'll introduce you to a shingle manufacturer and review the different types of shingles that are available in the market. Then we'll get some pointers from an experienced installer on how to put down asphalt shingles. Finally, we'll talk with Dave Dupree and see his construction team install some vinyl siding and extrude gutters on a new residential home. We've been talking about the building envelope, and today we're going to focus on the roof. And to help us with that today is Dave. Dave, it's a pleasure to meet you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Dave Lewis. I'm with Certainty Roofing. I'm a territory manager here in the Chicago metropolitan area. I've been in the roofing industry for a little over 20 years in one way, shape, or form.
Okay. Now, obviously, roof is a kind of a very important factor of the house here, and there's certain steps and considerations a person should take in hand when coming to these products. Can you tell us a little bit about the selection process?
Sure. I think as you're starting any roofing project, whether it's new construction or re-roof, I think it's important that your contractor is going to be a big part of that decision-making process. Who you hire. You want to make sure you hire someone who's certified or qualified to install the product that you want to put down. And then the next major decision you're going to have is the style of product you're going to put down as well as the color. And you want to pay attention to what's available and take the recommendations maybe of your contractor or go out for yourself and do some homework and see what's available.
Okay, because obviously there's a lot of different materials and colors on the market, so you really want to be aware of what's out there.
There are, you know, when you look around your neighborhood, you're going to see a standard architectural style product, but there are so many more different styles of products that are available. And when you consider that your roof line in today's market, it seems, it could be 60 to 70% of the exterior of your home. We spend a lot of time looking at our front doors and the brickwork, and then sometimes we forget about looking at the roof line. And you can really change the appearance of your house based on the style of shingle that you put up on the roof.
Okay. So now, as you talk about style, there's a lot of different shingles on the market. And you could kind of go through some of the samples?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. The first one we're going to look at is just what I mentioned before. It's a standard architectural style shingle. It's got, you know, a nice granule drop to it. You're going to see it pretty prevalent to most of the neighborhoods when you're driving through. You can see some different lights and darks, some of the different colors that are available to pull out the color of your house. This is the most popular shingle. It's probably about 90% of the shingle market today.
Okay.
The next one that I'm going to show you is really meant to somewhat replicate a cedar look. It's called our presidential line, but you're going to notice a unique cutout for all the different shingles, and it gives you a wider open patterns. Again, it's got some nice granule drops to it. This one does require a unique installation pattern. So going back to that certified or that qualified contractor, those are going to be very key in some of these shingles that I'm going to show you. If you wanted something along the lines of a slate look, this is, you know, a lot of what we see, if you think in the terms of a good, better, best offering. This kind of falls into that better offering. It's got a nice shadow line. It's got a unique granule drop on all the different tabs. So you're going to see, again, it'll pull out the different colors that might be in your house and the exterior.
Sure.
Then we have a really heavyweight product. This product actually weighs 425 pounds a square, and it's a full two-layered product with this extra third layer on it to give it a triple layered look. So it gives you some nice shadow lines up on the roof and looks like a premium slate type of a product once it's installed.
Okay. And I think the important factor here is you're seeing the product up close. The difference is it's really going to be up on your roof. So that becomes kind of an important issue.
It is. And I think one of the things, the key parts of as you're working through the process is be able to get addresses of houses where these products are installed. talk to your contractor. If they've installed the product before, they probably have some addresses that you can go look at and see the product from the road or from the driveway, which is where you're constantly going to be looking at it from.
Based on that aspect, kind of once the selection's made and you've made your decision to move forward, kind of what's the process that should be, taken into consideration for going through with this?
Okay. Well, if you found a quality contractor, somebody that you're confident or comfortable with, make sure you can communicate with them, be able to have conversations with them, talk to them about different options. You're going to choose a shingle, you're going to choose a color and a style, and then you're going to have to go through the process of when's this event going to take place.
Now, once the selection's made, I'm sure you got to coordinate some different components and materials, make sure everything's compatible.
Once you've hired a contractor, make sure that your contractor understands what he needs to do, what products he needs to use. He should be able to communicate all of that to you, but you're going to look at the ice and water shield, the felts that he might be using in the installation process, what kind of ventilation he might be using up on the roof for you as well.
Okay. I know there's a lot of components that are now color-coded to kind of match your selection.
We have different styles of flashing. Those are going to be, when you look at your roof, you have open valleys. There might be a piece of metal that's in the middle of a valley. You can get painted metal, you can get copper. For some of our higher end products, we recommend the copper. It just looks more elegant. The flashing around a chimney, for instance, you want that to color match as well in your roof, your vents, pipe flashings and things like that might stick out through the roof.
Okay, so the intent is kind of make everything compatible and fit together to achieve
Right.
this look.
Absolutely.
Now, the other thing is we kind of been talking about the different styles and looks. Obviously, you mentioned about the various weights. So obviously, weight becomes a big factor in a shingle.
We feel it is. We think that the weight is an important part of the product itself. Shingles are basically the makeup of a shingle is a big part of it is the asphalt and then the granules. And the granules are what give it color and they protect the asphalt. The thickness of the asphalt, I think, is important because it gives you a good base for the granule to be pressed into the product with. And they're really what protect the roof. So we feel like the heavier products tend to, number one, they're going to stay on a little bit better during the installation process. If you get a windy day and the shingles haven't quite sealed yet, throughout the life of the shingle, I think the heavier weighted products are going to last longer and they're just going to look nicer in the long run.
Okay, and as far as lasting, obviously warranty, all these things become an important factor, whether it's the material itself or the installation and things like that.
There are a lot of different aspects of the warranty that homeowners need to be aware of. I would encourage everyone to get the warranties, read them so they understand what the actual warranty covers from a manufacturing standpoint. Hiring certified contractors, sometimes they can offer extended warranties through the process as well. I think those are something you need to consider as a homeowner. But using the different components, if you're going to get an extended warranty, most manufacturers are going to require you to use all of their components from their company. So again, it's why you hire quality people, certified folks who know what they're actually doing.
I mean, everybody pretty much assumes shingles is a common choice for roofing a house.
Today you have your choice of cedar, metal roofing. There are synthetic slate looking products so that you have different choices depending on what the style is and what your home looks like and what you want to put up. You can use real slate. It's still available as well.
Okay, but the asphalt industry has evolved over time. Everybody kind of looks at things and environmental issues,
Sure.
but you've changed with the times as well for this production.
We have. We try to be very conscientious about the environment, about the way we manufacture the product. They evolve. There are different components in shingles now. We've changed the sealant strip on the shingle. We've changed the way that we actually manufacture and the amount of pollution that we allow to be emitted from the plants is very minimal anymore compared to what it was 30 years ago.
Okay, but I think through all this, what a person can kind of take is there's a lot of choices out there, a lot of homework that should be done up front before making that final decision.
Absolutely. Do your homework. We encourage that. Hire someone you're comfortable with. Pick a product that you like, that you're going to like on your house, and enjoy your roof.
Okay, appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Carpenter's Apprentice and Training Center is home base for learning the complexities of roof installation. Veteran carpenter Tony Mathis instructs us on what to look for in today's roof construction.
This is the mock-up we use to teach our carpenters how to shingle on a roof. This is the rafters here, and this is the sheeting on top. This is typically what a roof will look like when a carpenter comes to install shingles.
Okay, great. So at this point, we're ready to start?
Yes. First, I'll talk a little bit about safety. This is a full body harness. This is what we use when we're on a roof. When we first get to the roof, we're going to go up to the top of the roof at the peak. We're going to install the anchor point at the peak. And then you take the rope. You'll attach one side of the rope to the anchor point. The other side has a shock absorbing lanyard. You're going to attach that to your harness. And then you can adjust your up and down the roof as you go.
Okay, so everybody on site that's working on the roof is set up for safety?
Everybody should have the safety on, yes.
Okay, great. So Tony, can you walk us through the steps for shingling?
Okay, the first thing I do is I'm going to snap a chalk line for my underlayment. The first underlayment I'm going to put in is the ice and water shield. It's a self-adhering membrane. It's got a sticky surface to it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this paper off and I'll start installing it here. I'll put it up here to my chalk line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add fasteners just enough to keep it in place.
All right.
When you're out in the field, you might have to add more because of wind, or you're going to be walking on the material.
Sure.
I'm going to hit a couple of nails there so it'll stay in place, and I'm just going to release this paper as I walk along. More fasteners to hold it.
Now this is an important first step for this, correct?
Yeah, what this does is it helps to prevent ice and water dam from getting into the roof.
Okay, and that's the reason it adheres to the sheathing, so nothing can penetrate underneath.
Right, correct. And then the next underlayment I'm going to install is called felt paper.
All right.
And what it is a saturated paper with asphalt. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on top of the ice and water shield. You're going to overlap it about 4 inches.
All
Here
right.
it shows you how much. There's about
Sure.
4-inch overlap here. I'm going to put a couple of nails in here just like I did with the ice and water shield to hold it in place. And then I'm going to roll it out. Fasteners in. Now that we have the underlayment in place, our next step is to install some flashing. Okay, the first type of flashing we're going to install is called gutter flashing or gutter apron. It has one bend on it. It's a little bit bigger than a 90-degree bend.
Sure.
And you can actually manipulate this if you need to, depending on the steepness of the roof. So I'm going to install this on the bottom edge of the roof or the eave. I'm just going to hold it in place, and I'm only going to put a few fasteners in here. You're going to add more fasteners in the field depending on what the manufacturer suggests.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to tack it in place just to hold it here for now. And then the next piece of flashing we're going to install is called drip edge.
All right.
If you notice, this got a 90-degree angle on it, and it's got a little lip on it here. That's the difference in the gutter apron and the drip edge, okay? This goes on the gable, because it is the 90-degree. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this on top of the gutter flashing. You always want to put anything on a roof in shingle fashion. That way any water that gets on this metal will flow right off of the roof.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to bring this down to meet this other one, and I'm going to install a couple nails on this. The next step would be to do some chalk lines for the installation of the shingles.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, the first chalk line I'm gonna snap here is for my starter strip on the bottom, on the edge of the roof. So
right.
I'm gonna pull my tape measure down here, and I'm gonna mark here, and I'm gonna walk over here and do the same, right here, and pull the chalk line, and snap it. You snap the chalk line. Now that I have all the lines snapped, I'm ready to install some shingles.
Now this assures that everything's straight in line?
Yes, this will keep everything. I start here, all the way across this roof. I can keep everything nice and straight.
Okay, so that's an important step here, what you're
Yes,
doing.
very important step.
Okay.
First thing I'm going to do is install some starter shingles.
Okay.
First thing I'm going to do is put them on the gable edge. Now what this is going to do is give me a straight edge to run the rest of my shingles on. I'm going to install a couple. And now I got a 1-inch overhang over the drip edge. Okay. And then my next starter will be my eave starters. If you notice, each one of these starters has a tar strip on the edge that's going to seal down the edge of the shingle. See, if you notice, when I put this starter strip on, I staggered it by 6 inches here. So now when I go to throw this shingle on, it won't line up on the slot here.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to always have that 6-inch offset.
So you're always overlapping a joint.
Right. Now what I'm going to do now, since I had the chalk line here and I put this starter strip on, now my straight edge is over here. So every one of my shingles I'm going to pull up here and I'm going to square them up to this edge and down here. So I got them squared to the bottom, squared to the left side, and then I got to hold them in place as I nail them. I'm going to install a nail over each slot here, and at the end you want to be 3/8 an inch above the slot and 1 inch within 1 inch of the edges.
Okay.
Okay. Each shingle gets 4 nails. So that's 1 full shingle. Now the next shingle that I put up, with these shingles comes a tab mark on each part of the shingle. What that does is gives me my 6-inch offset.
Okay.
So my next shingle is going to come up to that tab mark there. I'm going to put it in place. Now we talked about the gauge on the hammer.
Yes.
This is the gauge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this gauge on the bottom of this shingle, and then I'm going to slide this shingle down to it.
Okay.
That gives me my perfect 5-inch exposure. I'm going to do it over here, and since this is the beginning of the roof, I got to do it on this side too. And also I want to square this up too. Make sure this is all square. Check my gauge marks, hold my shingle in place, and install my nails in the proper place. Now what I'm going to do following this is I'm going to put a full shingle on each one of them, and once I get up to here, I do this same pattern up again. Each one of these now get four nails right over the slot and 1 inch from the end. Like I said, the next step would be to cut 6 inches off, then 12 inches off, and etc.
So the same pattern you started
Same
with,
pattern.
you continue up. Great.
Exactly.
And this continues up for the length of the roof and down the through
Yep.
side.
And just keep working this way and up.
Okay, great.
Hold the shingle and put the nails in.
Done, and sure it'll be on a perfect straight line.
All because the whole roof is done. It has a gauge, and cut the shingles in the field. Most guys use this.
Hi, Dave.
Morning.
Appreciate meeting us out here today. Got a lot going on. Now, I understand you're responsible for the soffits, gutters, fascia, and siding on this project.
That's correct.
So kind of give me a brief overview of what's taking place today?
Today we're finishing up the siding and the soffit on the front of the home.
Okay. Now, at what point do you come on the project to do this?
Normally when the house is at drywall is when they have us come on site, start the siding.
Okay. Now, is the vapor barrier house wrap in place, or is that something you're responsible for?
House wrap is already in place, taped, and the house is weather tight.
Okay. So at that point, you're responsible to do flashing, things like that, before the siding takes place, or what's kind of the process here?
Any roof-to-wall flashing or any other window flashings that aren't in place, we usually handle. And we have a few steps we take, a few extra steps we take to help mitigate the water, make sure there are no penetrations, fix any house wrap that's may get ripped during the construction process, and basically finish the house.
Okay, so based on the siding you're using, is there different types of, is it part of the system, the flashing and diverters, or how's that take place?
It's just extra steps that we take.
Okay.
Nothing's included with the siding. It's just things we've learned over the years and through the Carpenters program and on our own that help mitigate the water better.
Okay. So at that point, once you're starting the siding, what's actually the starting point of it? How do you determine the layout and things like that?
Normally you'd like the siding to end properly, so by that I mean, you want it to end in the middle of a panel or something that looks right. It's got to be even around the whole house, all the corners need to match. Normally you just level back the soffit and pull a number down.
Okay. So there is a lot that kind of goes in place before you actually even start.
It can be complicated, for us it gets easy, but I suppose.
I'm sure after the years of doing it, it just becomes old habit.
Right.
So, but now as far as whether you're doing, this project is a vinyl siding, correct?
Correct.
So is there anything different from doing whether it's vinyl, aluminum, or even cement board, kind of approach to the installation of materials?
It's all the same basic idea. You want it to end properly, everything needs to appear level and be straight with the house. And then of course you need to get the water out from behind the product as best as you can.
Okay. So now as far as once your flashing and things are in place, is it you start with the siding or you do the soffit work? What's kind of your approach to this?
Well, it's kind of give and take. Sometimes you do the soffit in some areas first. Most likely you'd set up on a wall and start at the bottom with the siding and get your figures straight so you know everything's going to start and end properly around the whole house, and start with the siding.
Okay. So I see here you've got your soffit and some of your fascia in place, and he's working on the siding. I assume at that point, once your house is completely enclosed, then you turn to the gutters.
Gutters will be last.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything as far as gutters that you go through for sizing gutters in the house, or is that determined prior?
Normally it's determined prior by the architect. For a standard residential home, it's usually 5-inch gutters. There is a 6-inch gutter that comes in handy sometimes. It's appropriate to put those on, but rarely on a residential home.
Okay. Now, as far as determining downspout locations, things like that, is that something you determine on site based on where roads are terminating, things like that?
Yeah, rule of thumb is everything's from the curb.
Okay.
So for curb appeal, you want everything off of your eyesight.
Okay.
So, around the sides normally
Okay.
of the home. Keep them so that when you pull up in the curb, you're not looking at a downspout. You try.
Okay.
And then normally, every rule of thumb is you don't want to go any more than 40 feet of gutter per downspout.
Okay. Okay. Now, the gutter systems you use, you extrude them on site?
Yeah, it's a seamless gutter system. We bring the machine right to the site, roll them off right on site.
So maybe we could take a look and see some of the installation they're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely.
See here, Dave, they're installing the soffit work under the porch here.
We're getting towards the end of the house. Always save the porch for last. We're just finishing up all the soffit work. Normally it starts with J-channel against the wall.
Okay.
And then we install all of our soffit material. We staple everything on, try and hide all the fasteners as best we can. And then you finish it off on the edge there with some aluminum flat stock that we then form to fit the board or the fascia or the beam or whatever in place.
Okay, great. Looks like they're doing a pretty good job. It's working out pretty quickly too as well.
Yeah, things go quick.
Now here, Dave, I see you've got the siding up to the corner there, so I assume it just starts to work its way around?
Yeah, it's the last wall in the house, so we finish it off with some J-channel along the roof flashing, J-channel around the window, and then we put our water diverters in place at the bottom of the window. You see them sticking out of the J-channel now. We just have to cut them into place, get them behind the window flange. Cut some slots in the J-channel so that all the water that ends up in there drains out properly as well. At this point, you know, we measure down from the soffit to make sure everything's straight, make sure all of our corners line up properly, and make sure all the windows are taped and flashed properly. The carpenter usually has that done beforehand, and we're done.
Whether your construction challenge is commercial or residential structures, we hope that our guests today have helped you build a good foundation for best practices in the construction trades. I'm Bruce Obora. Thank you for watching Built to Last.
Visit the Built to Last website to learn about these topics and more.